Welcome to Trucker Talk. Welcome. George, how are you doing today, my brother?
I am good. I'm always good, and that's I don't not complain about too much because there's always someone worse shape than you are, So I'm good.
Right, you're right about that. Um, as far as your week, I think I was saying how people don't really talk about, like, they be like, "How you doing?" They don't say, "How are you feeling?" But so tell me, what was the highlight? Tell me a highlight that happened to you this week. One of your highlights of the week.
Well, let's see. Let me think back. I don't have many highlights that I can think of offhand because every day seems like it's like I try to stay somewhat focused and try to keep everything within arm's reach. Uh, what would be a highlight? What would be a highlight? I can't think of it. Come back to me in a couple of seconds. Let me think of something.
Okay, well,
What about your highlight? Give me one of your highlights of the week.
man, I had to go to Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, that's about an hour from where I'm from, Montgomery, Alabama, where I'm from.
Well, right, of course, where I had to go was about three and a half hours. But man, I'm driving. It was raining a little bit, and I was on the interstate, and I was explaining this to my boss after I was going off. But driving down the road, I see the world's biggest pothole, and my first thought is, okay, I got a wall to my left, and my right tire, the passenger tire, the right tire was. I was like, well, if I hit it with that, it won't be as bad. But then if I use my left driver tire, I figured it'd probably throw me off the road. So man, by the time I seen that, but my thought is, I'm thinking, no offense to Alabama, but I'm thinking, I know they got a big pothole in the road because I'm basically driving a missile, tractor trailer 53 footer. So man, I'm telling you, I hit that pothole. It was like bam. And I'm talking about my head hit the ceiling. I'm sitting here just going off, and I'm sitting here like, man, that like it's dangerous because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it scared me because I'm sitting here like I'm in a big truck. So when I hit that pothole, I was just like, so as I was driving down the road, I finally found like a little safe place to pull over. So I immediately called my boss, and I was just going off. I was like, man, can't tell me they don't know that this pothole's out here. But my another thought was, what if somebody older or somebody that's not experienced as I am driving down the road? As soon as they hit that pothole, they gonna let the steering wheel go.
Yep, yeah, I see what you're saying, and that's kind of ironic you say that because you said one of those deals where that highlight today and the driving down the road in this pothole, and that reminded me when we went camping years ago. We're talking years ago. As y'all don't know, we got kids, and of course we used to camp for the years ago. We camped together when they were small kids, and his son was going to try to do as my son was going to do. Going to ride down this gravel road on this campsite road, and of course he was inexperienced in coming down gravel road, and he came off that bike, hit a hill, and he was like Superman. And he jumped up. When he hit the ground, of course, knees and hands the first time he hit, and it skint him up all the way. But that's kind of like reflecting upon this pothole. It's like I did not see this coming. I didn't expect this to happen. So you think about stuff like that. It's when we went camping. That's when I thought about it. It's like, wow, that's like when Malachi come off that bike and you told him not to go. But he was just trying to do like my son. He's gonna come off that hill. When he hit that little speed bump, and he was airborne for a couple seconds. And when he hit the ground, it was palms of the hand and knees, man. He was skinned up down to the white meat.
I remember it like it was yesterday, but it's funny that you say that because I mean, I never forget when we first was talking and stuff, and you mentioned camping, and I'm sitting here like, no offense to black people. I was like, camping? I'm like, I ain't gonna go camping. I'm like, who camps? So, and it's funny because my son and him and Kyvers, they didn't know anything. They was. I remember the first night we went, they was like the little spiders. You look up in a tent, you see the little spin. And Malachi's like, Daddy, is it gonna get in? I'm like, Malachi, it's got the little net. I said, as long as the little net's right there, I said, ain't nothing getting in here. So after that first night, well, after that first time, I think they was a little bit more easy until we started going more. And so, another funny thing, and I never forget when Nathaniel Samuel, I think he was walking off in the dark in the woods. It's like I know Malachi and Kyra's come out screaming. They was like, It was like, man, the thing and them took our flashlight.
Oh, that's a bad, because I remember that little distance you have to walk from the campground going to the other side, what they call the day park. But
Yes.
going to the day park, it's a canopy of trees. So you go at night, and because I never went, so I didn't know how dark it was. So I said, let me go and just do a like a test run. So I went through there, and I got about halfway. I turned my light off. You saw nothing. You could not see your hand in front of your face because you were in a canopy of trees where they were actually covered top and all around you was all trees. And you can hear the water, but you couldn't see anything. And I said, oh yeah, this is scary because you can't see nothing. Once you took the flashlights away, there's no light. Even on a full moon, couldn't see. I mean, it was like, I mean, I got a little scared myself. I'm like, God, this is scary. So I can imagine how old were they?
They was probably 6,
Oh
7.
my Lord, yes. See, and
7.
that's because I was scared, and I was I'm dead. I'm the father,
Yeah.
you know. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is no wonder they came back, you know, just full of fear because you could not see one thing in
Right.
front of your face, man. But we had some good times in that time because they got a little bit more relaxed, and once they started doing the camping, because even my first day going, some friends of ours had invited us, and I'm like, I ain't going no camping, you know. So I get there and I finally called them. I said, hey, I'm leaving work. Is there anything I can bring? So they said, yeah. The friend, the dad said, hey, just bring some ice. So I'm thinking, okay. So I whooped him to one of the convenience stores, and I threw the truck in, back up to the ice bin, and I threw about 8 bags of ice, not knowing where I was going, not realizing it was going to take me an hour, almost 45 minutes to get there. So I get to the campground. I had like 1 bag of ice out of all those 8 bags.
Hey, you was getting prepared
I
though.
was prepared, but after that, it's like, we get there, and of course, they're not never going camping myself. It's kind of the same experiences they were having as well. So I said, okay, this is gonna be pretty cool. I said, we'll sit down. I'm sleeping in the truck. My wife and Nathaniel, Lisa, they slept in the camper. They had a camper set up really because they were experienced campers. They've been doing this for a long time.
Right.
So I slept in the truck. Got out the next morning, you know. So I said, this is not too bad. I said, okay. So fast forward this thing about a year later, we started going to camping on our own. That's before I invited you guys.
Right.
And so I would take, of course, again, you almost like you're gonna live there forever. So I'm making like 4 trips to the campground, you know, in the pickup truck. So eventually, long story short, I ended up buying a trailer to hook to to my truck, and I just load that trailer with everything and make 2 trips instead of 1, or make 1 big trip. But it was still exciting for us to go. That was some time we talk about, you know, every night. We still talk about just how they've grown up to the point where, you know, and once he thinks back, when Malachi thinks about it, even Nathaniel thinks about it, he's married now, he's got his own son, but they've gone camping. Oh, it's been years ago since they've gone. And I did the exact same thing. I said, look, we're going to load the trailer up. I'll drop the trailer, and you can, everything you need for camping is in this trailer, extra tents, rugs. I mean, everything we set up, you know, for that camping experience, which makes it, you know, a lot nicer.
Right. Yeah, Malachi, he even at 21, like he mentioned this last year, he was like, Daddy, he's like, I think we should go camp. And me at 40, I don't know. So that mattress when I was sleeping on it in my 20s,
my goodness,
that air mattress was okay, but
I couldn't do it now.
at 40, I don't know,
At
because
65, it's like, nah, yeah, I'll come back up at night and help y'all roast some hot dogs and some s'mores, but I'm going home by nighttime because I got to have a bed to sleep in.
hey,
That was funny.
it hurt. I never forget that night. We was it was me, Malachi, and Kyrus. We was at this. It was a father son. It was a Christian. We was at a Camp Bioka, and I never forget. My tent was probably 3 or 4 years old.
I remember that now.
Man, that air mattress got a hole in it. Next thing I know, I woke up. I'm on the floor. They up in the air, and the water was getting in the tent because the tent was leaking. So I woke up and I'm just like, I was not that I was mad, but I just started loading everything up in my little Camry, packed it up, and I woke them up, carried them to the car. I said, nope. I think I threw that tent away after that.
Yep.
So because I even sprayed some of that water resistant stuff on it, and I realized it was like this tent's
not going to do it. No,
it ain't going to fix it.
That's amazing. Talk about that is when, the challenges of a father. That's when the challenges of a father, when you have smaller kids that, they rely on you to make that adventure or whatever situation, make it.
Right.
And that was challenging then because,
Yes.
we trying to make them happy. We trying to give them the best joy and experience all in one, and
yes.
not being professionals as we were not, we trying to fake it till we make it.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's challenging to be a father. Just like even now, just like when I don't know if you remember this. When I first met you, I was 18, and from 18 to now, and I know you can vouch for this. I'm a whole nother not I'm the same Matthew, but I'm more of a mature person. Because when you met me when I was 18, I was changing my phone number like every
every week.
I was doing some crazy stuff, and so I think about that, like, our friendship. And I'm just like, man, I never forget when I first met you. It was 2003. And I was just a young, just a young kid with a kid, and working at Coca-Cola, trying to find my way in this world. And to go back and look at where I started, and our friendship is be, us still being friends, because a lot of people don't realize, well, people that are real friends, you got your ups and downs in your friendships, and some people, you got the people that use you and people that's your true friends. But we've come a long ways, and you've seen me grow up from where I started.
Yeah, and it's a relationship. Just like sometimes we think about the relationship between a male and a female. Relationship is anybody you have good times with and good communication with, and that's a relationship, regardless of what gender you're in. That's a relationship that we had. That because when I think the first time we met, well, when we worked together,
Yes.
but actually we were going to New York, and I said, "Hey, can you come take us to New York? Drive my car back home." And then come pick us up when we get back from New York,
right,
at the airport. And of course, that started the friendship right there and right then. That started the relationship more than anything.
Yes, and it did, man. And I'll tell you one thing, thinking about, well, off the relationship, one thing that people don't talk about, and I'm gonna go and just bring this up, is people always talk about generational wealth, but nobody really talks about generational health.
Oh yeah, that's true, because what we learn as, say, the forefathers, so to speak, we try to make health better decisions, that we can pass those decisions on to our generation, our boys or girls, or our children, to have better health as they grow older, and then that increases the livelihood. Also, it increases that generation of, okay, we got this generation. Now we see the next generation. Healthy wise, they're gonna create more generations of people. So you're not just dying from just illnesses that you can control.
Well, like you said, it starts young. We had this
Yeah.
conversation the other day. It's just like, like I know when I grew up, it was basically, my mother and father, we ate what we can afford, like at the time. And so talking, I'm like pork beans, pork and beans, mac and cheese, and just the basic bologna, grits, the basic simple stuff, the not the cheap stuff, but the simple stuff. So, with what they did with what they had, as far as they got by with what they could get by with. And so as you get older, get out on your own, and um you're when you get older and you're out on your own, then you start changing up your I guess your diet and your stuff like that, as far as when you're focused on the important thing.
I get that, piggyback on that too, because I grew up. We ate what we could afford. That's what it boils down to. What you could afford or what you ate was, something was 5 for $1 or 10 for $1, or get a whole bucket full for 50 cents, and that's kind of what you ate. We bought stuff that can go a long way to survive. But now, also, we're going to generational health. That's a little bit more too in the generational wealth of it, because you can afford more things now. They're readily available. Still have access to. You got options basically with the money that you have. You can buy things that are not necessarily the cheapest, which is not really the best for you. So you can kind of get in the middle of the road and be, well, this is a little bit healthier choices versus buying this that is cheaper, but it's not the most healthiest choice you can have. And that kind of stems, going back to the generational health, is that you start out eating better foods for you. Hopefully you're going to just hopefully live a little bit longer because you're putting better stuff into the body.
Correct. And I got this quote for you. I heard this quote the other day, man, and I like it though. It says, it says, if we threw all of our problems in a pile and saw everyone else's, we grab ours back. Now, When I think about that quote, I think about it's like, I get up every morning, I do my gratitude. But as people that I encounter, during the day, and it's like me in my head, just like I said, we're all going different places. We're all, I mean, let me say we're all in our own little world. So I got like 10, 12 things on my mind. So I run into somebody else. They may have 20 or 30 things on their mind. And it's one of those things. I don't get into like a comparison battle with my problems, but the problems that I have, they're my problems. And it's like, okay, I wouldn't, I'm okay with what I have, but when you start talking to somebody else and you listen to them, you're like, dang, like I ain't even really got it that bad because they going through a whole nother storm.
Yeah, a whole nother storm. It's kind of like those sayings. You were complaining about your shoes, so you saw a man that didn't have any. It's
Right.
kind of like you don't cherish or you don't give gratitude for what you have, but you seeing what you want, but you give thanks for what you do have at the moment. So yeah, I can relate to that big time.
Yeah, man, it's wild, man. But also, and now that we're giving the listeners dialogue and stuff like that. But my whole, I know somebody asked me the other day. They said, "Why'd you name the podcast Trucker Talk?" And I'm like, man, I was just driving down the road and it come in my head. I'm just like, Trucker Talk. I mean, I guess I didn't put two and two together. I just come up with a name. I mean, I mean, it's
But
like, is it a catchy name or what?
I think it's a catchy. I mean, it's not so much that you try to find something that's catchy at the same time. And you're just like, this is what you do. You drive trucks
Right.
and you're talking, and it doesn't necessarily have to pertain to a truck driver, but it pertains to driving life, driving
I
through
like that.
life. So it's the same thing as a truck driver. You have all these obstacles that you face. I'm not a truck driver, so I couldn't know, but I can imagine going from city to city. You got different laws, you got different people that drive, you got different atmospheres, you got all these things that are different. So is life. You got all these challenges in life. Driving truck, you test better than I can. You got your weigh-in stations. You got your state troopers you got to watch out for. You got to watch out for your drivers that are not from this state. So it's like, oh, I missed my exit. So they decide to just automatically just shoot across and like, okay,
Yes.
I just about ran over this person. But that's an obstacle of life. So truck driving, trucker talk, is just navigating through life. It's what the way I've summed it up.
I like that, man. I like that. Okay. So Dave, I'm gonna go ahead and dive in today's episode, man. Episode 6. Hey, I'm out. Hey, my co-host. Can I call you my co-host? I mean,
Well, I'm just here.
I,
I'm just a mic holder. I'll
I,
be a mic holder.
I don't want to get in trouble, but my co-host George Shine. Today, episode 6, I want to talk about what are the benefits of a relationship, and I'm gonna stop there. What are the benefits of a relationship? Now, me, when I think about what are the benefits of a relationship from a friendship, I want to speak from a friendship standpoint versus not saying I've had some relationships, but I can't speak. I'm not going to speak on that. So as far as a friendship, I think what I was wanting to talk to you about was no, we'll go back into that later. We'll go into that later. But when I was seeking counseling, get some advice and stuff, or whatever. But I never forget. He told me, he was pointing out my strong points. He was like, because I was beating myself up. I was like, man, what's going on with me? I feel like this and that. And he's like, man, you got too much going on. He's like, you got a lot of strong points about you. And he pointed out the whole friendship thing. He said, you've got burned a couple of times by your friends, but he said, I've noticed, all of your strong points, but one of your strong points is your friendships. He's like, you have good friends and you've got long friendships with, certain amount of people. So he's like, what you need to do is you need to work on your weakest and relationship. That's called relationship is my weakest. And that's what he told me.
Wow,
So
that's pretty deep. Yeah.
but a man of your caliber, with the experience and everything, when it comes to relationships, I I guess I guess in my age, it's like the dating world now is crazy. Like
Different for sure.
I don't understand it. And
Challenge. The word is challenging.
it's challenging, but here's the thing. Like, and I guess I can say it on air because this is just my opinion. These are our opinions. People that I meet at my age, it's like they have kids, they have trauma, um, well, trauma, drama,
Yeah.
and a lot of baggage. But it's like at what point, do you meet somebody and it's like you can, because like when you try to play that, hey, let's go eat dinner, you try to be that guy, the gen, or if I don't even know if gentleman even applies anymore, but you try to be a gentleman, but it's like, well, my experience, it's out the window. Like, what do you
Yeah,
think about that?
I think relationships, and that's one of those variety of things that people you may get 10 people, 10 different answers on what they assume a relationship is. To me, I think relationship is something, is someone you can be with, you can have fun with, talk with, cry with, have down times with, have bad times with, and good times with, but come back around, and that person's still going to be with you. What I say, through thick and thin. So that's what I think a relationship is. And then sometimes it takes work because you're talking about two different people, two different personalities. You got two different personalities that happen at different times. So having that relationship, you have to understand the diversity of what your relationship gives. I'm good at this. This person is good at that. But at the same time, if both are having issues, say if this person's not feeling good today and vice versa, that's the person that's going to lift you up to bring you back into that put you back on track to where you need to be at, what it boils down to.
Yeah, because I hear a lot of people say that people that are in good relationships, they say relationships are never 50-50. And I think I guess, somebody being single or somebody that don't know that or have that experience, when they're looking, not saying me, but when they look for somebody, they be like, well, they got to have this. They got, they got their own a checklist
Yes, yes.
that they think what their idea of a relationship should be like, or what their other partner should have. And it's like, it don't work that way.
Yeah, and of course now you're in the age of computers, so everything is. Let's go to Google and see what is the checklist I need to check off to
Right.
find Mr. Right, Mr. Perfect, Miss Right, Miss Perfect, and the relationships are they test everything about you. They test, especially when you first get into relationships, you go, do this person leave the doors open? Do they leave again the toilet seat up? Or do
Right.
they leave the cabinet doors open? Well, they forgot to put their shoes, So you have to learn all these different things about someone else. And at the same time, you all got to remember they learn about you as well. And it's just a learning curve for each individual and navigate through this relationship to come out at the end of this thing where you can understand each other. And none of us are perfect to that point, but you understanding, okay, this is this person, this is that, and I am who I am. So we can meet somewhere in the middle and kind of respect what each other do. And eventually these things change because you realize what you do affects the other person one way or another. And that's what you always think about. Is this going to is this better for them or worse for them? Or is this going to hit my relationship or is it going to make my relationship worse? So it doesn't matter who it is. Bottom line is going back to also respecting
Right.
each other and giving those boundaries we talked about before. They got boundaries, so I know this is not the good thing to do. This is not what they like. So I just I can divert by doing something different because I know if I do this, even though I might like it, they might not like it. So I know it's going to create some tension. So just try to steer away from those things. So relationships is just like working together for the common cause.
Yeah, but see, what one thing I'm trying to understand is, it's like I see it all the time, and know, if, like I said, to each his own. Like me, if I was to get in a relationship, it's like, and like I said, we're just having a conversation. Like, do you recommend, like, because you got people that a date, and it's like, they're young, and it's like they move in together, and it's like, okay, like, to me, it's like
Well,
taking a car for a test
yeah,
run.
basically that's what you're doing, and there again, that's one of those morals is that you can. That's another whole episode, but
Now we can talk
uh,
about it.
well, it would actually probably take too long, and I would also like to do a little bit more research on it too, because
Okay.
morals and standards are things that you try to live by, and it's being biblical at the same time. So
Right.
these things you have to think about. What do they say what is a relationship based on in the Bible? So that's another conversation to get into as well, because you don't bring the Bible in, but to be successful and to have a good relationship, you have to bring something in. You got to have a standard. There's
Yes.
something you got to measure everything by. And to me personally, I think the Bible is about one of the best standards you can have.
Okay.
To set you up for a successful relationship, respectful relationship as well. So, and you have things that when they see on the internet or their friends. Well, my friends, they lived together for this long. Well, they did live. So you have to think about, okay, is that right or is that wrong? So each individual, I think, it's going to change. It's going to vary with each person on how they feel about life or how they feel about their morals. So yeah, they're testing the waters. But the thing about that is, we talk about relationships and we talk about the health and all that. But they, as soon as the things don't go right, then everybody says, you know what? This ain't what I signed up for. I'm out. It's only been like 3 days and they're already out,
Right.
So, and that's going back to say, well, you have to respect each person boundaries, like the grandma that's hard to see it, or leaving the doors open, she was out.
Right.
And you said, well, I didn't know. Oh God, I didn't know he was going to be that way. If I had known
Right.
that, I would have never moved in with him.
Well,
And vice versa. Oh man, she gets on my last nerve. All I did was left my clothes on the floor in the middle of the floor in the living room and put my underwear on the coffee table. And she got mad about it, So, but those things that you adjust to people what they do and you learn, and it's beneficial because you learn now, like, you know what?
correct.
I can do this, but this person's showing me a different way to do things that now see, okay, this I have been doing this wrong the whole time. So yeah, it's pretty tough. Relationships are just super. Yeah, they're effort. You have to put a lot of effort into to maintain a good, healthy relationship.
Well, and saying that, I think you have to be open. Just like, when I decide to get in a relationship, it's like I have to be open to. And we've had this conversation. You say I'm picky. I'm not too picky, but I can adjust, and if I have to, I can compromise. But there again, I can be okay with it. It ain't that I'm gonna be walking around mad and my head down, huffing and puffing. Like I can do that, but like I was going somewhere with this. But no, I could do that. But I think relationships can be beneficial if you found the right person that's willing to work with you and willing to going into it, they understand that it ain't gonna be 50-50, and they can, when it comes to emotional stuff and your personal stuff, they either gonna be, I mean, y'all can talk about things and be on board or off board, but work things out. But I think it'll be benefit. They can be beneficial in a way if y'all on the same page.
Yeah, and also too, you got to look at, I mean, from everybody's perspective on relationships and even being with someone else. Loneliness is another thing that hurt a lot of people physically and mentally and emotionally. When you're lonely,
Yes.
but then again, that don't mean you go find somebody because you're lonely, because that could be another whole drama within itself. But
Yes.
having a relationship that you can, connect with a person, and it doesn't take 4 or 5 days. It doesn't take 4 or 5 weeks. It takes a time to connect with a person, because you got to understand this person is, their thoughts are totally different from yours. So it takes a while to build a relationship, to build those thoughts. And it's just like one of these old sayings, like, well, they'll say, well, man, we have, I noticed you and your wife, they are not me personally, but just like this, the old catch-all phrase, y'all think the same, y'all finish each other's sentences. Yeah, but they've worked on this. They didn't work up and all
Together.
this happened.
Right.
They worked on this for years. So now they're on the same page. They turn the page at the same time, and they also reading out the same book. They don't have 2 or 3 different books they've taken stuff from. They got the same book, and that's what's going to make it better.
Right. And I was going to touch on one thing. You said something about the loneliness. You said, loneliness can be, but I've heard, and some of my married friends, they made the comment, you can be married and still be lonely. And I was like, whoa, like
Absolutely.
I can't for the record say, like me, I ain't gonna say I'm lonely, because I do things, do things with different people, and it's like I keep myself busy. But there again, I'm not gonna jump into I'm not gonna jump into a relationship because I want somebody to be around me. I'm my own company. I can turn the radio on, light a candle up, and turn the TV on, and it's like I'm good. But
yeah, that's true. And that's, like I said, being lonely, it's nothing wrong with being lonely, but sometimes I think wreak havoc on the mind. But again, you don't want to just don't get a dog because you're lonely, because that dog comes with responsibilities. So does a relationship. They all come with responsibilities. Unless you prepare for those responsibilities, reconsider who you have the relationship with, and that'll eliminate some of the drama that you're going to have. Because if you just jump into one, it could be bad. It's like, well, now how do I get rid of this situation? Because it is wreaking havoc on mentally, physically. It is wearing me out. And that's why I say just because you're lonely, don't jump into one, but take your time and choose and evaluate, and then just hang out with people and get to know people more, versus just like, I just got to have something right now and this will do kind of thing.
Right, man. Like I said, I've never understood people that do that. But I think this day and time, like I said, I think people need to work more on themselves. And that's one of the things that inspired me to do this podcast or start this podcast, because when I walk around and see people, it's like you see people in relationships, and you see people, I guess, just existing, but they not playing like they're happy, but question, you're like, dang, they just
going through the motions.
They going through the motions. Yeah, they're going through the motions. So, but I just that's one of the reasons. Like I said, I want to touch on mental health, and like I said, if I can express myself, and if you can express yourself, and we can, get, if one of the listeners, if they can relate to it or be inspired, that's just my whole point in wanting to start this podcast.
And that's the thing about, like I said, these are the podcasts that we do. They're not staged. We don't have a script we go by. We don't practice this a whole week ahead. It's just general talk, the average person, because most people don't talk about certain things, or they don't have access to other than the self-help book or whatever. But those things are scripted and read out. So we just kind of giving you our opinion based on our lifestyles, how we live on a day-to-day basis. So. Like I say, anybody want to reach out and give us some opinions and give us some suggestions, we really open for, because
yes,
the more information we can get, I'm all reaching for knowledge as well. So we all thirst for knowledge. So I'm not the only one that can build, make a cake with 2 eggs and a loaf of bread. So if somebody's got another way, say, hey, add another egg in there, that cake could be a lot better. And that's what we want. I ask for feedback and just suggestions on different things, because it just makes me wiser as I go through the thing of life we call.
Right. Yeah, and I'm glad you touched on that. And I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this episode up, man. And hey, as always, George, I appreciate you. Appreciate your time, man. And we'll do it again.
I can't wait until the next one.
Do it again.
It's the drip from Mr. Strozar.